Okay guys, so I must admit the energy might be a little step down today. I'm not really in the best frame of mind to be recording a video, but there is an obligation to fulfill to you guys, and so let's talk about last night's SmackDown. Alright, so we kicked off the episode with the tribal chief that was at the table, the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, returning after he was unable to show up at the Day 1 Premium Live event to defend his championship against Brock Lesnar. Now, I need to say that it is the most jarring thing looking at Roman Reigns come out by himself without Paul Heyman. I mean, he's made solo entrances for a long time, but for the first time in almost 2 years, we're seeing Roman Reigns by himself. So that was very interesting. And Roman Reigns did somewhat acknowledge this when he got into the ring. You know, that thing where he turns and asks Paul to give him the championship. Even though he had the championship in his hand, when he turned and realized that Paul Heyman wasn't there, he was like, okay, fine. So he came to address the events that had happened in the last week and after he had been away, and Paul Heyman's defection to the side of Brock Lesnar. When right on cue, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman show up, and I must say Brock Lesnar's wardrobe is something to behold, honestly. Babyface Brock Lesnar is really some guy. So Paul Heyman was about to speak when Brock Lesnar cut his mic off and does his whole, you know, ladies and gentlemen shtick, which was it was very interesting to see. Like I said, babyface Brock Lesnar is a very interesting guy. So after some back and forth banter, Brock Lesnar practically proposed that they have a title versus title match, practically signaling what I have been talking about for the last few videos: title unification. And Roman Reigns did acknowledge that it was a good idea, but it wasn't his idea and SmackDown was his show, practically saying that you, Brock Lesnar, go back to the second show, or the B show, Monday Night Raw. And then Roman Reigns also says, and I don't do business with people that do business with trash like Paul Heyman, to which Paul Heyman, visibly shocked, comes in, starts acting like a jilted ex. It's one of the funniest things you would ever see. But practically Paul Heyman says he loved Roman Reigns, and this was enough to trigger Brock Lesnar to go like, what did you say, bro? And as he's explaining himself to Brock Lesnar tells Paul Heyman to shut up, to which Roman Reigns says, hey, don't talk to him like that. And then there's some banter, or what, there's a whole don't talk to me, it's a love triangle basically. It's a love triangle between Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman. So eventually there's the banter between Heyman and Brock, to which Roman uses as an advantage to give Brock the Superman punch. And I must say this segment is very interesting. I really don't know what they're going to do with the titles, and seeing as of this moment, not this moment of recording, but this moment after the segment took place, Roman Reigns had practically no challenges for the Universal Championship. It's going to get very interesting, but I will give this a pro. And then we had a backstage interaction featuring Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. Apparently Johnny Knoxville wasn't in the Royal Rumble yet. He was campaigning to be in it. And by any indication, it looks like we are going to do something Logan Paul-esque that we did with Sami Zayn last year, only this time it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville at some point, probably WrestleMania. I don't know how to feel about that. But then it was Sami Zayn taking on Boogs in a singles match, and I think this match was fine. I really do acknowledge that Boogs is a very strong individual. It was a good back and forth. I think it got a fair amount of time. So I will also give this a pro, particularly for what happened after the match. So after Boogs won the match, Johnny Knoxville came out and he throws Sami Zayn over the top rope, and somehow that was leading up to an announcement that Johnny Knoxville was going to be in the Rumble. So I guess the way to qualify to a Royal Rumble match is when you throw an opponent over the top rope. It's insane. WWE does some weird things. And then we had Charlotte Flair come out to deliver a promo, particularly with the Women's Royal Rumble. And there's a whole list, and you might have heard of this, but let me run down the list of people that are presently in the Royal Rumble match as of the time of recording this video. So we have Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash, Carmella, Queen Selena, Natalya, Shotzi, Naomi, Dana Brooke, Shayna Baszler, Tamina, Aaliyah, the Bella Twins, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Lita, Summer Rae, and Mickie James. And Mickie James was acknowledged as being the Impact Women's Champion, and she has to defend her title against Deonna Purrazzo at Hard to Kill tonight. So I guess the forbidden door has been broken by WWE finally. And there has been an acknowledgement to a working relationship between WWE, the NWA, and Impact Wrestling. I think it's a very interesting time, and the whole internet broke when this happened. And this was also an opportunity for Charlotte to declare herself as a participant in the Royal Rumble. I think that's really a short-handed thing on the part of the women's division. I mean, they really don't have people to come in. I mean, how many people from the current NXT are you going to trust to come in? I can really think of 2 people that might show up. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Maybe Io Shirai. I would love to see that. Io has actually been in a Royal Rumble in the past. But, I mean, who knows? And Charlotte did say that if she were to win the Rumble, she would be able to pick the opponent of her choice to face her for her SmackDown Women's Championship, which is a very, very logical outcome, which I don't think I want to see that, but it makes the most sense if that was the way they would go. After this, Naomi came out to challenge Charlotte's Flair, and there was a bit of banter, and then Naomi ends up slapping Charlotte Flair. So I guess the way to get the title shot in the WWE now is either you call someone a bitch, you ask for the title shot, or you just slap someone in the face. I guess that's how it works. So that was the match between Charlotte Flair and Naomi, and I must say this is probably an instant classic. They were given so much time to work. I enjoyed it, I was entertained, and this gets a pro. Now this sort of tied into the whole Sonya Deville Naomi feud that's going on, because at one point Naomi gives Charlotte a DDT on the outside, gets back in at the count of 8. Charlotte was going to lose the match via count out, and Sonya Deville comes out and is like, hey, you can't win this match by count out. So now it was left to DQ, submission, or pinfall. And then at another point in the match, Naomi is trapped in the figure 4 by Charlotte. Charlotte can't lock in the figure 8 fully. Naomi drags herself to the bottom rope, and then Deville goes like, okay, hold on, slow down. You can't win the match via disqualification. So the only way to win was by pinfall or submission. And still, Naomi almost won until she got beat up by Charlotte. Charlotte picked up the win, and hey, I like to say this match was really good. I would want to see these two do battle for the for the championship at a premium live event at some point. This worked really well. They have such good chemistry, and I will give this a pro, as I have said. We then had Happy Talk with Happy Corbin, and I would like to say that this was quite goofy considering that Madcap Moss was dressed up as Drew McIntyre, and I must say Madcap really does a good Scottish impression, and Pat McAfee did this funny thing on commentary where Madcap had this plastic inflatable sword, and Pat McAfee practically called it the flaccid sword of Drew McIntyre. I mean, everything that worked with this Happy Talk segment, I will give a pro. However, I do need to give this a con. The match that followed, which was the Viking Raiders versus Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, and I mean, hey, it was good in ring action, but the crowd was dead. I was using my phone during that time. It didn't really, there was nothing really to hook me to it, and I believe that I honestly believe, and I'm not sure, but I think the Viking Raiders did win an opportunity to face the Usos for the titles at some point. I may be wrong. I feel like my memory is all in a mess right now, but I feel like that needs to happen. So when you look at everything, the fact that I just wasn't invested, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give this a con. So then we're about to have a street fight between the Usos and the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, but before this, we had Adam Pearce come to see Roman Reigns in his locker room now earlier, and this happened after the Naomi match. Adam Pearce confirmed to Sonya Deville that he had been given the opportunity to pick Roman Reigns' next challenger for the Universal Championship, and so Adam Pearce in this segment was coming to inform Roman Reigns that he had picked his opponent, to which Roman Reigns was like, hey, pick anybody, I've run through everybody at this point in time. And for the record, the Usos and the New Day facing off, this was the 43rd match between them, and it didn't disappoint. This also gets a pro. Now, there are two spots in this match that I really enjoyed that I feel are worth talking about. The first of which was, for some reason, King Woods, I should say, gets this Anglo Spartan looking helmet, puts it on his head, whilst Kofi has like the whole breastplate from the armor, all that stuff on, right? And then I think Jimmy Uso kicked King Woods in the face, but because he had the helmet, it was going to have no effect, to which they proceeded to wallop on him. And then there was the second spot where the Usos gave a 1D, which is actually a 3D. They gave a 1D to Kofi Kingston through a table. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of thinking that the Dudleys might come back for one last match with the Usos. but I guess we'll see. But overall, this match was really fun and it was a good way to end SmackDown. However, we did cut back to Roman Reigns in the back where he gets a knock on this door, and when he opens it, it is Seth Rollins, and he asks him, okay, what are you doing over here? And Seth kind of just starts snickering and then he busts out laughing, pretty much confirming that at the Royal Rumble we are getting Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. And I know a lot of you are going to go like, hey, but the brand split is meant to prevent these things, sort of. I mean, Seth Rollins is a Raw superstar, Roman Reigns is a SmackDown superstar, so it's really not supposed to work, but it's still going to be a banger of a match. I mean, we've pretty much had the setup going on since May, so I'm all for it. Also, I do need to say, because I found this match later, apparently when Seth was knocking on the door, it was practically a recreation of the Shield theme music beat. It's the little things that really count. But overall, for this episode of SmackDown, it pretty much proved the point that a 2-hour wrestling show is always going to beat a 3-hour wrestling show. Throwing shade to Raw, of course. But overall, this was fun. Only one match which I think you could skip, which was the Corbin Madcap Moss thing going on. But aside that, this was a very good SmackDown. Solid opening, solid ending, solid cliff to end the show. And for this, I will give this an overall pro rating. Alright, so thanks so much for coming to the end of this video. If you were able to handle all the low energy, I really do appreciate it. Post your comments down below, let me know what you think. Please subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my main channel as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in another video shortly. Take care. Bye.